Hello viewers, my name is Adam.
I'm here.
This is Seeking Me Productions bring you another ranking video.
So we did so many of these things so far.
Well, yeah, depending on what type of brand or IP we're talking about. And we're continuing specifically on animated show rankings.
And this time around, we decided to go ahead and hit hard on one of our favorite parts of this genre, and that's dealing with superhero cartoons that, we've seen so many of.
We actually don't necessarily have a lot of review videos about very specific ones.
And that hopefully should change at some point.
And of course, when we do these ranking videos, it gives us a chance to catch up on some classics that we don't necessarily have the luxury of discussing them during these every time a modern new show comes into play.
Yeah, and and on this particular list, there's plenty of classics to be enjoying as we go down the list for this.
So to lay out some rules that we always place on ourselves to limit what we to be more focused, not limit but focused. So the qualified, like the previous lists of cartoons, the qualified a series had to have ended, of course, to be on the main list. Though if it's continuing, it has a chance of being on honorable mentions, as you'll see soon enough. We did focus on one particular one show based off of one particular character, with the exception if the show is a continuation of said show from the one following that continuity. It's gonna be like some flexible gymnastics on this list because some of these shows are set within a wider continuity.
Yep.
But they stand alone in themselves.
So, without further ado, let's just get down to the nitty-gritty of it.
Alright, so the honorable mentions. First on the list, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
They're an awesome group. I felt that watching their cartoons, whichever variation you wanted, that you claim as your definitely deserve to be on somebody's list.
Then across the pond, a recent show that was developed from China, but is a co-production of China and Japan. And if you're familiar with this, it's To Be Hero X.
I didn't know what I was going to get into when we saw this show. And when we actually did see it, my God, I mean, this show has got it all.
Very fresh air of not only as experimental use of animation, but this premise of being a superhero that's very tied to the social influencer zeitgeist is something that's it adds a unique spin on the superheroes as an occupation. Finish up the honorable mentions here. Another ongoing series, Invincible. Robert Kirkman is no stranger to his adaptations on television, with The Walking Dead and now Invincible. And from this to be a very mature take on classic superhero storytelling, it is still an engaging watch. Alright, on to the main list of our ranking, our favorite superhero animated shows. First on the list, Ben 10.
This was basically in the heyday of, I think, where Cartoon Network was really hitting its stride as far as action-oriented entertainment for young boys. And when it comes down to the journey that Ben Tennyson finds himself being, with all the aliens that he has at his control, with the awesome powers of the Omnitrix, and with his family life and the journey he takes with his cousin and his uncle, and the shenanigans they get into, is just interesting television to see.
Out in his later years of Alien Force, Ultimate Alien. This was also featured in our ranking of our favorite Warner Brothers TV shows. It was like around the higher point on this list, and you will see another show that was on that list rank even higher for a specific. We'll mention that reason why. But Ben 10 is a heyday of modern youth animation, and it has a deserving spot on this list. Next on the list, Spectacular Spider-Man.
absolutely love Spider-Man. He's a wonderful character. I feel as though that's something that can't be disputed worldwide. And when it came to this iteration of the Web Slinger, Spectacular Spider-Man, I will always say, hands down, is my favorite iteration of the Web Slinger stories.
Outside of the Insomniac.
Exactly, which I feel as though is doing some really heavy lifting on that end.
Greg Weisman, who is known for his work, starting off in animation, Gargoyles, made a Spider-Man show that not only honors the comic books, but it brought such a grounded nuance to Peter Parker's everyday life.
Yes.
That actually exceeds what came before in animation, also in live action.
I mean, look no further than what they did with the storyline between Peter Parker and Eddie Brock. I feel as though what they did with this story of Venom and the Black Suit Spider-Man was just some interesting stuff, and the stuff they got going on with when they did with Harry Osborn and Norman Osborn. Again, Spectacular Spider-Man is just that series.
Now, I relate. The show might put off initially because of the very youthful art direction. But the show is actually way more mature than what people might suspect.
Some of the dialogue that's in this series is chilling, and just you wouldn't expect them to go there for a story just like this, but they do.
And Josh Keaton's voice work as Peter Parker, it is like such a breath of fresh air with levity. He balances heart, dramatic, and
such a swagger to it too. So it's like, again,
and also some of the best fight scenes.
Yes.
And on this, continue on the youthful side of superheroics, Teen Titans.
I don't think there's not a person alive that lived during the time when this show came out that doesn't remember that opening. It's just a banger, and being able to actually see how well they took the story of each of those Titans characters and where they were going is just. It's really cool. Robin, Raven, Starfire,
Beast Boy,
Cyborg.
The way how this show was executed, they made the standard team of what people expect from a Teen Titans adaptation.
Exactly.
This show, each season, focus on one of the main core characters. Yes, it takes some strong liberties with the DC Comics, but it still
does it in such a way that you forgive it because of the richness of each storyline being told.
Despite the mere fact this was aimed at a younger audience, Raven's storyline being told as a domestic abuse situation, and then again when you deal with the Judas contract with Tara, you get this sense of what could have been a highly more mature story, but it was balanced off with what could have been done for all ages, but still making this point across. Like, this was the show that really pushed forward that Japanese animation style, and that was even more prevalent now in modern Western animation. Static Shock.
Being black, content creators, and then individuals who had to grow up seeing, various individuals get represented, and just having not as many representations for, especially in the superhero genre growing up, it was incredibly, heartwarming and important for us to see a character like Static Shock come to life.
This show, Static, if you not know for his origins from the comics, he's a DC character, but it started off on a subdivision of DC, of Milestone Comics.
Yes.
Headlined by the late great Dwayne McDuffie, who we said in a previous video had his hand in also a lot of other cartoons and animation and other comic book properties.
Look into it, y'all. You will be surprised and just incredibly in awe.
Static was just could have been like DC's version of Spider-Man in terms of creating a youthful, young superhero, but with the powers of if Magneto was a black young kid, essentially.
Love Static. I'm so grateful that we got as many seasons we did out of it. I really hope they end up.
It needs to be hurry up and
exactly. This gives
reboot it again.
Exactly.
This show started this at the time was one of the most popular shows on network television.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still a travesty how DC
Just had not picked this character back up. There's so much left that we can still tell with the story of Static Shock, especially with the
a lot of
cultural,
issues
society
are
and
still-
cultural aspects that wrapped in with this character. We need Static back.
We're in the mid-range round, and let's start hitting some major heavy hitters now. Start with Superman, the animated series.
We have always been champions for the Man of Steel. We've seen Superman in so many iterations of cartoons, but we do have to say that the animated series is probably one of the more longer-lasting, more impressionable variations of Clark Kent, Superman, Kal-El, however you want to say it.
This one came out in 1996, coming off the heels of Batman the Animated Series. And as opposed to the Batman the Animated Series, this one was more storyline centric. There had a lot more serialized episode structure within the season, so you can't watch it. You have to watch it from beginning to end.
Yep.
The highlight Superman supporting cast was a very important thing as well that most people probably wouldn't recognize outside of Daily Planet. Like introducing new variations of Superman's Rogues Gallery beyond,
which has, in my opinion, proved the fact that it was always a big, pet peeve for me growing up, is that everybody wants to go ahead, and which I again love Batman, absolutely do. He's a cool character, and he does have an amazing Rogues Gallery. But this show also showed us that so does Superman.
The Powerpuff Girls. It was also featured on the Warner Brothers ranking list, and it was ranked lower than Ben 10 at the time, but we ranked this higher mainly because of it is very much embraces the superhero of that.
Maybe a little bit more so than Ben.
The identity.
Exactly, a little bit more so than Ben 10. But one of the main reasons why we had to get this a little higher on our list, this is one of those rare shows that didn't just say superheroes is just for little boys. This brought in a demographic that was for everybody.
Yes, your main characters are little young elementary school age girls
that has elementary school girl issues and storylines. But
this show did not hold back.
These girls stood on business, and if you've ever watched this Powerpuff Girls, the original series, you know just how hard these girls stand on what they're going to do. You literally feel sorry for the guys and the villains they had to take out each episode.
Now, in the original series, it did go downhill like a little bit after when the movie came out, because it still began to be more of a parody within itself. But it was still enjoyable at times. Powerpuff Girls making up one of the rare female-centric animated shows out there is still a problem. We still have not ever had a Wonder Woman animated series.
You can never tell me the travesty that actually truly is. It's an unreal for being one of the holy trinity of superheroes out there in the genre. Why, y'all? We need Wonder Woman, but because we haven't got her in the glory that she deserves to be represented, the Powerpuff Girls did step in and they did fill that niche, at least to extent.
My Hero Academia. We recently reviewed this video. On a recent video, the first video of 2026.
Yep.
After the series finished its anime run. My Hero Academia show that a superhero show that deals with the concept of superhero as an occupation.
Yep.
But it drives even harder with its themes because of that being the societal norm. What truly does make a hero at the end of the day.
And I feel as though the story of My Hero Academia following Izuku Midoriya really does hammer home what does that actually mean, and seeing it unfold through his eyes of becoming the world's greatest hero. You really do have a true understanding as to why it is important for individuals to stand up and fill in that space for everyone.
No matter what background you come from, is you have the higher chance of preventing the next big threat if you take a moment to help out when others in need.
Actually, fill in the concept of empathy.
X-Men, the animated series.
They are the GOAT. I'm sorry. The X-Men, and especially if we look at it from the 90s series, it's just, what I got from the X-Men series is that this was, if you've never seen a soap opera before, that's where these individuals really fill in that, that space. Their storylines are legendary. You're hardly pressed to find anybody who doesn't even know at least one X-Men or what they truly mean for the zeitgeist of society in general.
Yeah, X-Men had also, like Spider-Man and Batman and Superman, has had plenty of animated productions on their time. This list could have also been filled with them. Like, well, mostly probably X-Men Evolution's the closest one would have been on this list, but we chose this 190s, the animated series, because of it's closely faithful to the comics, despite having some like changes down the line to simplify the grander scope of what X-Men is capable of.
Exactly.
Like, this is the blueprint to how you adapt X-Men. And the mere fact that this show was revived in a new series in X-Men '97. So far from this first season, as we've known, if you see our first review, it's one of the best rebooted series to date.
Like, my God.
Hopefully they'll continue that trend when it comes back.
I'm sweating, y'all. I don't know how it's gonna work out, especially since we, given the the storyline that's going on behind that. Fingers crossed that it can still stick its landing and still give us the hard-hitting, heart-wrenching storylines that we all have come to love and enjoy. But again, no matter how it turns out, the X-Men have always been a series that is worth the watch, and it is definitely always going to leave its mark, no matter how it ends up crossing.
Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. This is the series that is a good series to really be a introduction to Marvel's wider scope.
Yes, they didn't just focus on the heroes that we've all come to understand thanks to the cinematic universe or the MCU. This show gave me a better understanding of characters like Captain Marvel, Iron Man,
Captain America, Thor,
the Ant-Man, and I feel like that was what they did with the Ant-Man story.
It's why it's such a travesty of why the MCU really butchered that.
They did not handle that character well, but this series did.
The way they introduced Kane is like you would understand why MCU would have used Kane based off of how well Kane was utilized in this series. The show has a nice, good Jack Kirby aesthetic in its art direction. Really great animation that helped with the bringing out and balance the tones of the main storylines that were unfolding. Great introduction to Marvel in general. Justice League being the culmination of the Bruce Timm, Paul Dini verse of the DC animated universe. Officially bringing together iconic heroes.
Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Martian Manhunter, Hawk Girl.
That initial core team reintroduces a Justice League to the modern audiences at the time, and very highly mature storytelling. Like the voice cast that
some of the best voice casts that any of these characters have had.
Yeah, but like from Susan Eisenberg's Wonder Woman, they changed Tim Daly to George Newborn for Superman, but it's a seamless transition from that time. Bringing back Kevin Conroy, of course. You could tell that the way they directed the show with the interaction between the characters, it created some very nuanced storytelling that brought back some harkening back from even the niche Silver Ages, bring that forward to more modernized stylization.
This series truly emphasized what a true superhero team could truly accomplish.
Justice League Unlimited being such a vast increase in superheroes, making mainstay fan favorites of not only the core characters from the first series, First series, I say first couple of seasons actually.
But he also got highlights on other characters like
Green Arrow.
Green Arrow, Black Canary.
Question.
Oh my God, Question was so cool.
Like characters that you wouldn't even think that would have been risen to A-list status is the reason why this show, both series, has been such a high mark in superhero animation.
Yes.
And topping off our ranking list.
It's a series that literally is probably going to top anybody's list.
Batman, the animated series.
This was the show growing up. This was the introduction for a lot of folks as to what the Dark Knight really represents and what Batman, the Caped Crusader, truly actually is for a lot of individuals.
What began as a tie-in with Tim Burton's Batman
truly evolved into his own thing that is the cornerstone for any Bat fanatic.
And the mere fact that no other animated series looks and is executed the way this is. This was each animated, despite that this show has more of a episodic nature to it, but despite that episodic nature, each episode feels like its own short film.
Yes.
The way that the show has the very strong textures of
Every
Art Deco design.
Every aspect of Gotham to the Batcave to beyond feels lived in and absolutely is atmospheric. You really do feel like you're a part of the series going forward.
You have a whole ensemble of talent to Kevin, Paul Dini, Bruce Timm, Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill.
Legendary voice actors.
Creating standards till this day, like Harley Quinn as a mainstay.
That was just genius.
This rewrote a lot of comic book canon from Mr. Freeze as well.
The Heart of the Ice storyline is still probably looked at as some of the most interesting and incredible storytelling in the animated genre or in any particular genre.
Defeated Clay as well.
Oh my God! So like I said, when we got this Clayface movie coming in, I know they're gonna be looking at that at least to some extent.
Like no other animated series looks and behaves and does what Batman animated series does. Thing is, in modern day and age of animation,
I don't think anything has ever come close to what Batman the animated series has truly done.
Which is a shame because it was inspired by the Max Fleischer Superman in terms of his stylization.
Yep.
So I hope that somebody down the line will actually try to do that. They try to attempt it again with the
Caped Crusader.
But we don't know when that shit was gonna come back.
That's true. Not to say that wasn't a bad. I feel as though there was plenty of episodes within the Caped Crusader that actually worked out and actually helped me thinking back onto the animated series of Batman for this show. But
the mere fact that this show is the standard, is literally the GOAT when it comes to not only just superhero storytelling but also animation on its front. So there you have it. That was our ranking of our favorite superhero animated shows.
How do you feel about how we actually rank these series? Is any particular series a little higher on your list? And let us know. Show it down in the bottom. Where would you rank a lot of these particular shows for you? Or what shows would you have added to the list that you feel as though needed to be here that we probably missed?
Yeah, we definitely missed a lot of shows because of what the thing is. Based on our focus, how we decided to focus on certain avenues, we feel confident of where we stand here.
But we're always open for conversation.
Maybe this will change down the line. You know. Looking forward to what other animated shows are produced. Hopefully, that somebody get James Gunn if he still has a job to officially greenlight a Wonder Woman animated series.
Please, we need her.
It's like every other DC character.
You can't just be the Batman Superman show, y'all. We gotta get.
You remember that Plastic Man had an animated series?
That's wild. A Plastic Man. Not to put any shade on Plastic Man. He's a cool character, but really, he gets one before Diana gets.
Let's discuss. My name is Alan.
And I'm Aaron.
This has been a C Community Production. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment below. And also check us out on all those social media outlets of Threads, Instagram, and X, and also Letterboxd for other content we don't necessarily post on this channel.
See y'all later.
See you.